This week's episode is brought to you by Body Scare. All natural body care products so good, they're scary.
What's going on?
Oh shit, I fucked up and I didn't remove the goddamn fucking banner. God damn it. Welcome back to the All News Empire podcast. We got Steve Eaton, Aaron Carlson, Chuck Lawson, Michelle the Dead, Patio Furniture, and myself, Vlad the Rad.
Vlad the Rad.
The radical
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Good evening.
Dude, I'm so happy.
Greetings, humans.
I'm
Yes.
so happy that you guys decided to come on this week.
Me
We
too.
have a lot to talk about with the Horrorverse.
Hey, if Aaron's going to be part of a party, we're going to crash Aaron's party.
Aaron,
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
one of the things I want to talk about is Aaron Carlson's cooking.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
My God.
Hi, Russ.
That was going to be something I brought up later because you're always posting about that shit and it always looks so good and I'm always jealous.
As
You're
far
not that
as I
far from him.
know-
You can just he lives in Tacoma. You can just go over there.
I was gonna say, as
Yeah.
far as I know, Aaron,
And he'll feed you if you show up.
If
Yeah, he'll
he's
totally
cooking,
feed your ass.
You're invited.
you are. Yeah, I've had an open door policy about that a long time, and a few people have hit us up, and they've showed up and they've eaten, so it's cool.
Are you,
I've
are
eaten
you
at your
like a
house, and it was
5-star
delicious.
chef and
No.
shit?
I know it was fun feeding. It was awesome. I loved it.
If I didn't live so far, and Steve can attest to this because he drove me home after we recorded that night, and he was an angel for doing it. And but I don't live close.
Yeah. Steve
Okay.
really is an angel.
We've
He's
all
like the
driven a
best.
starving artist home at one point or another.
I mean,
Yeah, but when you're on Facebook and you see Aaron's fucking food posts, it's like my mom has never cooked anything so good in her life.
Oh.
And you haven't even eaten it yet.
I know,
It gets
you can smell it through the
Like,
screen.
words.
You could totally smell it through the screen.
absolutely.
It's like, yeah, it's so good. It's so good.
Thank you.
When it comes to making
And-
movies and cooking food, Aaron is a goddamn A+.
Oh,
That's
So,
right.
So, Aaron, I hit you up asking you to come on the show to talk about the Horrorverse, but actually we wanted to just
talk about the
Talk
food,
to
bro.
you about like your
Oh, now it's a cooking show.
taco.
It's a cooking show now.
Well,
should
you have
totally
somebody
do
who
your
can
own little-
confirm the fact that Aaron, yes, can cook.
I love it.
Yes,
It's
yes.
creative to me. It's no different than what we're doing here. You get all the ingredients and then you try to make stuff up, and see what works, what doesn't. And we do that every day when we're working on our movie stuff. So it's kind of the same thing. And then at the end, you got this pretty plate of food, and that's like your final product, like the movie. So take a
And
picture.
so delicious.
Yeah, it's
How
fun.
come you don't have a show about that? You should have like a little, just like a podcast of just you cooking.
If I didn't have
Just
a
like
day job, I
extended
probably would do it.
versions of your posts.
Yeah, if I
What's
didn't
up,
have that
Kevin?
day job, I would do it. I would do it.
I know, dude. I have a day job too. It's like I work 10, 11-hour days, and it's hard to get other things done. So, thank goodness
It
for
is.
3-day weekends.
Yeah, no
as
shit.
good as your movies are, you shouldn't. Oh, who do we lose?
Uh,
Look at those Charles.
yeah, Pat's
Uh,
frozen on mine. Charles dipped again. So I don't know.
As
What?
good as
Why?
your movies are, your cooking is just as good. Just
There he
saying.
is.
Oh,
I
he's
appreciate
back.
I appreciate it. It's
So how
it-
are we getting started
Usually
tonight?
retired.
Well, let's talk about what Chuck put on his labeling because obviously he's trying to wave flags here.
Oh shit!
What's going on with all the names there, Chuck?
I don't know what to go by anymore because there's so much shit going on in our lives that I don't know what people want to call me. So I just give them everything.
Fair enough.
These are my pronouns: Chuck Lawson, Voorhees, Hammer, fuck off, thank you, good night.
I go
That's
by
all I got.
I go by
Shade.
Vlad the Rad and Vampire 3.
There you go.
Ah.
I just go by Steve, and if everybody calls me anything else, I'm like, wait, who?
Yeah.
That's it.
So to anybody who doesn't know who these guys are and what the Horrorverse is, you want to give us the rundown, one of you?
Sure. Go ahead, Chuck. You want to do it this time?
Well, let's see. What is the Horrorverse? The Horrorverse is the idea of a few crazy people in our lives that decided to combine every fucking horror icon on the planet and put them into one place. Now you have CCC Entertainment Group's The Horrorverse. So you can look all the way over my shoulder here, and you can see everything in the background there of everything. Well, we're not putting everybody in there because that's just too damn much. But for the major ones, we're going with the Jason Voorhees, the Michael Myers, and as it's been hinted now, the Freddy Kruegers. But also, if you go back and look at the other episodes, you have everything from Dusk Till Dawn, you have Evil Dead, you have Invasion of the Body Snatchers, you have hints of Hellraiser. I mean, when it comes to the Horrorverse and bringing everything into one place, your imagination is endless. So, come, join us on this adventure and see what the hell we can do.
I will have to say that I've done a lot of shit in my life. Oh wait, hold on. Peter Anthony bopped in. What's up,
shit.
What's up?
Aaron and Chuck, take it
Hey,
over.
Peter.
Great writing, great acting, especially Tank, of course, because that's you, Peter Anthony.
That's your character.
Can't wait to see the finished product. One of the coolest things. I mean, I've done a lot of shit in my life, and it would take me days to tell you about all of it. But one of the coolest things I ever got to do in my lifetime was be a part of the Horrorverse. Was to be that vampire number 3 or whatever I was, and get shot in the head by Mr. Peter Anthony.
Right?
And
You were good, dude.
it was really one of my literally the most fun thing I've ever done.
Well, you've kind of always wanted to do that too. You kind of always wanted to be like a bad guy in a
Shot in the
movie,
head by Peter Anthony.
you know? So yeah,
Who
I've always
doesn't want
wanted
to
to
be
get nailed by
molested
Peter
by
Anthony.
Peter Anthony?
I mean, who doesn't? Right,
I
right,
mean,
Peter?
Vlad, you were fantastic in that.
Yeah.
I appreciate
Well, that
that.
vampire was yours and yours alone. That's what I love so much about it. You immediately got like that vibe I was like talking with you about, and you fucking killed it. It was so good. It was so good. And
Thank
your
you.
fall that you took in that couldn't have been any better. It
I
couldn't have
just
been.
closed. I literally just closed my eyes and dropped.
It was brilliant, dude. It was
And prayed it wouldn't hurt.
Came up was perfect. Like it was like you went totally planky and kind of bopped. It was great.
Yeah.
Good job. Be
My
nice, Peter.
my ankles going up in the air definitely like added a little bit to it.
It was
Totally.
perfect. Yeah, I was super proud of you. So I'm glad you enjoyed it.
And I'm sorry, Vlad. It was one of the few shoots I missed.
Yeah, it's all right. I think we're gonna do. So this is what I was thinking. What if we did like a prequel to my character, where I'm like this like punk rock vampire? You know what I mean? And
Glampire.
glampire, as it
Yeah,
were.
You were a
You know,
glampire.
like, we could do a whole like storyline, just like based on my like prior to that scene.
You could see how you got bit. Who were you
I
before
feel
you?
like-
I miss
feel
you
like
too,
he'd be in,
Andrea.
Like CBGBs. Like he would have been like a party vampire in '72.
Right.
A lot of cocaine in his life, without a doubt.
A lot.
With a little bit of sparklies, without a doubt.
Yeah.
That'd have been
There's
great.
patio
There was a lot
furniture
of
back
sparklies.
online.
Yeah.
We got
Yeah,
patio
right.
furniture back online.
Thank goodness. Where did you
computer's being
go?
Stupid.
Oh,
So
God damn it.
normally when I get on before we do a show, my computer's like, you need to reset your like computer, and it like fucks up the internet. And so, but it didn't do that today, and I was like, okay, cool, my computer's not acting up, and then it decided to act up in the middle of the show. I was like,
As soon as
course
the
it
show
did.
starts, right? Yeah.
Right.
so I just reset my computer, and here I am, late.
Nice to have you back.
Well, we're here to talk about basically because we obviously had Aaron in the Horrorverse on before. Let's fast forward to where we're at now. What's come out since the episode me and Michelle did my makeup. I look beautiful, and I got shot in the head by Peter Anthony. Like, let's fast forward through that
Okay.
era.
Absolutely. I believe that after that, episode 7, we had one more short film that we were going to do, and that was episode 8, which was directed by Steve Eaton. And that was
Right.
one of the final characters that we wanted to introduce to the Horrorverse before we got into the last 3 big films that we did for the end of the series. So I think that's where we're at right now. We've got episode 9 and 1 through 7 out, and or excuse me, 1 through 8. And episode 9 just dropped on New Year's Day, and it's doing extremely well. We're super happy about it, and it's about an hour long, a little over an hour. And each one of these is going to be about that's coming up. Episode 10 and 11, we should be about the same amount of length. But it should give us enough time to finish up this entire story arc that we've been working on since last year. And so far, it's gaining momentum, and people are liking it. So we're happy about it.
So we're talking about episode 8. I just need to say, episode 8, Bullet, is my favorite out of all.
Yeah,
I love you too, Pat.
That episode, like I rewatch that episode all the time. I love Bullet as a character. He's fucking awesome. He's got my favorite line in any of the whole series so far. It's after he busts through the kid in the front door and he goes upstairs to the attic and the cult leader's there. And that guy's like, we want the end. Can you show us the end? He just like pops him in the head. He's like, yup.
Yep.
Yeah. So
One
good.
simple line, done so well.
Just one word. Yup.
What's really cool about episode 8 is that I wrote a version of that way before Steve jumped on board, and I didn't like it. I knew what I wanted with Bullet, but I didn't.
I didn't like it.
Yeah, and I kept kind of copying something we've already done, and I couldn't think of anything fresh.
But he had the character there.
The character was there.
The character was there. Yeah.
Yeah, so I gave it to Steve, and I was like, "Hey, Steve, you know what? You want to rewrite this thing? See if you can come up with something better." And he came up with this great idea with the cult and everything, and I'm like, "Holy shit, that's badass, dude!" And then after he was done, he's like, "Oh, I'm glad you like it. You want to go? Let's go film it." And I'm like, "Why don't you direct this thing? Since you fucking wrote it, you direct it." And he did, and he fucking killed it. So
Totally. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Thank you guys.
Yeah.
It was really, really fantastic working with. The thing was, I'm a deeply unorganized human being, and it was so cool though to have Aaron and Chuck like having my back, because I think like chaos would have reigned almost immediately, and like it was cool. They were staying out of my, I say staying out of my way. They were purposefully. They would say they were staying out of my way, and they got to. By the time they were like, "Steve, we're gonna start doing this," I'm like, "That's probably a good idea because I am way the fuck out over here, and the rest of the movie's got to get shot. Thank you, gentlemen." So it was a good team effort. It was very cool.
Well, and I think one of the cool things about Aaron too, filming with him was like, you didn't have to like do the same scene 15 times. Like once he knew what he got, and he just was like, "Yes, this is it."
Moving on.
I even at one point, like, I think I was like, "Hey, let me do this one more time." He's like, "No, this is perfect. Like, we got it." And so I thought that was really cool to know your vision and know what you wanted. And if someone gave it to you, you didn't make them do it 10 more times in order to, you know what I mean? Like, and it expedited the process.
No, I appreciate that, Vlad, and that's one thing I've learned more and more of all the years we've been doing this. Is like, time is valuable to not only us but to everybody that's helping us.
Right.
And I really think if you're directing, you got to trust your eye, you got to trust the process, you got to trust the actors that you have there, the crew that you have there. You got to have a team around you that is performing. I just believe that. So if it comes to a point where I'm sitting here looking at something myself and I see what this actor has brought me, why do it again? Why do it again? I think if they want to do it again afterwards, totally fine. But they'll get a shot, and I'm like, okay, great, and I'll probably use the one that they did and nailed. But just to give them satisfaction. But
specifically with my scene, when I got shot and I fell, my feet hung up.
Yeah.
Afterward, I wish I would have done a more of a jump, like shot and jump.
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, like I looked at it and I was like, you know what? Like I felt pretty good about it.
Yeah, you went.
I just thought I could have been a little bit more animated, but at the end of the day, I was proud.
I love your deadfall, Vlad. I go back to Con Air. One of my favorite death scenes in all of cinematic history is Con Air, when he walks up and shoots the guy right in the head, and the way his body just straight collapses was the most realistic death scene I've ever seen.
Right.
So
right.
when you get your lights turned out and everything shuts down, there is
You just
nothing.
collapse.
There's no running. There's no cool fall. A drop dead is perfect, and you nailed the drop dead.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah.
I really appreciate that coming from you.
Yeah, and being behind the camera, I saw it immediately. As soon as that pop hit, the timing was perfect, and just the way you delivered that fall off camera
Couldn't
was
have animated it better.
it was
It was perfect.
yeah.
I'm
it
just
was-
glad I didn't smack my face on the pavement.
yeah, that was a good idea.
Yeah, the camera wouldn't have gotten that. So thank you for not wasting the shot.
I still got all my teeth.
There you go.
But yeah, Steve did a fantastic job in episode 8. I got to give it to you because
Yes,
it's a fun
absolutely.
episode. I had a blast
Absolutely.
editing that one. It was perfect. It worked.
And not
great.
only that, he was a stand-up guy and gave me a ride home 15 miles out of his way, and I really appreciate that.
Happy to
Yes,
do it,
no joke.
man.
What was
It was 3 in the
incredible,
morning.
though,
What the hell else was I doing?
what was incredible was that when I wrote all those short episodes, and Chuck helped me with some of them too. We all talked about, how can we make this an easier thing to shoot, because we don't have a budget, we don't have a lot of people helping us. It's all volunteer, and everybody's sacrificing their time and their talents. But we wanted to shoot stuff we knew we could create quickly, efficiently, and still tell the story we wanted to tell the best we could. And then Steve wrote and rewrote episode 8, and I was like, what the fuck? How are we going to do all this, bro? And he's like, I got it. So a lot of the visual effects that you see.
Hold my
is-
beer.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Right.
He literally did that shit. Like when he had Stone out there, I wanted to see Stone when he wrote it, but I'm like, you're going to put the shield in this entire battle? Like, what the fuck? He did all that himself.
Yeah.
All Steve Eaton. That's crazy.
Oh, I love
That's
you
crazy.
guys.
Well,
It's
what's funny? What's funny too is when we went out and filmed that, I didn't know what the basis was. I didn't know it was like a kind of an offshoot from what the fuck's the movie called? Help
From
me
Dust
out.
to Dawn? Your episode? Yeah.
I had no clue like that's what we were kind of like doing
Okay.
until after the fact. And then I was like, oh shit. Dude, the funniest shit to me is though, remember when the cops showed up?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That's what
Well, they
Peter
were
just
watching for a
commented on.
while.
We were, like,
they
hiding
came by.
Hiding the gun and everything.
It was great.
Oh yeah, that's what Peter Anthony just said.
Malibu Ken. Yeah. Didn't we call him that?
And it was Malibu.
Oh my god, yes, it was Malibu Ken. Oh
and
my
Michelle,
god.
and Michelle and Sam are over there
He's
just
a
like
beautiful man.
I think they wanted like a part. Like they wanted to be extras or something.
Yeah.
It seemed weird,
They're
didn't it?
like, ooh,
Yeah.
if we hang out, but not too long before that. I mean, y'all heard the gunshots too, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
we
yeah.
did.
That's why we were hiding
It's-
a gun when they showed up.
It's Tactown.
know.
I mean, yeah, you're going to hear some gunshots once
It's
in a while.
like yeah,
Right.
Tacoma.
At least
hear-
once a day.
I hear more in Olathe when I'm out there.
Well, that's not fair. We have shooting ranges out here. That's different.
Sure, you guys do. And crack houses and meth labs.
That's
whatever.
what they call it. A shooting
Yeah,
range.
exactly.
It's a shooting range. The cops come out and shoot at their free will.
Anyway, we've had a ton of fun making these guys. And Vlad, you killed it. Michelle, you've been just a rock star. And it's
From everything you do.
For real.
you have no idea. You have no idea.
And-
Even Steve and I've
Aw.
talked about it, what we're gonna do with Doris and what's leading up to like a very
So
sad
wait, is
ending.
Doris coming back?
Makeup.
Because
Oh,
Sam said
Doris is always
coming back.
Doris is a staple.
Yeah, Doris.
Oh,
Doris
I
is
said
coming
no,
back.
anyway.
Doris is gonna cut her motherfucking bang so it doesn't look so.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
It's totally fine.
So yeah.
No,
Whatever.
no worries. But you've done an exceptional job too, and it's
Oh,
been
thank
fun
you.
watching.
I've had so much fun, like making the special effects, props, and doing the makeup on you guys and all of, you guys are like total family, not just like people that I work with, but friends as well. So
Yeah,
I love
we
you
feel
guys.
we feel this.
I love you too.
And it's fun watching Michelle grow as an actor because she's working with like someone who's really good. So her and Ira, I mean, the scene you did in
Oh.
episode 9 is fantastic.
I
The main-
adore
Yeah.
Ira. I just
who
absolutely
doesn't?
love him. Can you tell?
That's the
great.
only thing I'll say, Aaron. If I ever work for you again, just give me at least one line.
you got it.
I
You got it.
How about this?
got to do snarls.
It's pretty easy to do. Yeah, all you got to say is something you want, and we'll put it in there. Yeah, anything we do.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
not hard. not hard. But it's been a blast, and watching everybody come together and create and show their talents. That was what this whole thing was about. I mean, we had a storyline we wanted to sell and share with everybody, but bottom line in my brain the whole time was like, let's make it something really badass for everybody up here. Everybody can show off how cool they are. That was the whole reason for this. I mean, I'm taking maybe 2 years out of making movies that I know I can put out in distribution to work on this. And I think it's important. I always have since I started it, just for you guys. And then that's why I'm making it for all of you guys. And I mean that. I mean, I love it seeing people like it and watch it on YouTube. But at the same time, the more watches we get and the more viewers we get and the more likes we get and the more comments we get, I'm just thinking that could help Michelle. That could help Peter. That could help, Raymond. It could help anybody. It's in these movies. And I think that's cool.
Well, and I think
there's so many cool people in these too.
I think what Peter's saying
right
here, you guys have created a family, be proud. I think that absolutely you have created I mean the core of you, Steve, Aaron, Chuck, or you guys have created this, thing that in the Pacific Northwest we can all be proud of. Like a lot of actors, sound people and everything can just join up on and become this like kind of like force, honestly. And it's something that like we can all like be proud of. We can all like enjoy. We can all, and that's important. Like, so, honestly, thanks to you three guys, we have this.
Right.
Chuck, it wasn't without you guys, this wouldn't exist.
I was lucky to be kind of let in to have fun with these guys at some point, but honestly, Aaron and Chuck and Sam as well, they just were able to, they really built something, and you could tell. I just happened to be a podcast listener to begin with. I was like, oh fuck it, I'll look up Washington. I'm so sorry, I should have watched.
We say fuck all the time.
Watch your fucking language.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Shut the fuck up.
But like, I was just looking up like Washington film or whatever because I was up in the area, and at that point still am, obviously. But I was like looking them up, and then I found their podcast. So you could tell the vibe like right off. Chuck says it so wonderfully. It's like joined together right away. And they fucking mean it. They're like, no, really. Come on the podcast. We'll get to know you. We'll interview you, and you'll probably show up if you're not a dick.
Right.
And that's a good principle.
If we like you, you'll be on set. If we don't, you might be upset.
Yeah, we'll see you later.
Okay, really quickly, segueing toward what we do. CCC Entertainment Group, what does it stand for? Creative Collaborative Coalition. Come, join together. That's been the fucking tagline, the motto of this company since we started it in 2018. We've been making movies for 20 years, but we actually made a real company in 2018.
Nice.
Congratulations.
And we stand by what we say with that.
Yeah.
Congratulations on The Shape getting 300,000 views.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that's a monumental like step. 300,000 views is a huge fucking thing.
That's a lot of people clicking on that.
Yeah.
Fucker. Yeah.
Well, you know what it means? It means that people who watch it recommend it to other people.
Yeah.
Because people don't, in the horror like universe, right? And like our whole like
the
family
Horrorverse.
You only get known by other people recommending your shit. Because there's a lot of C, D, B rated shit out there, right? So if you get 300,000 views, that's like A rated shit. And that means a lot of people watched it, enjoyed it, and they recommended it to someone else. There's no one going on YouTube and going, what's a fucking Halloween fan-made film? Someone recommended it because they enjoyed it. So to get 300,000 views is impressive. And I know you guys just hit that plateau. And so congratulations.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah. And we didn't expect that. We were only going to make one short out of an entire series, and we ended up making 3 of them and then combined them into that film that's doing so well. It was just an experiment. We just wanted to try one fan film. We were going to move on after that. So it wasn't any more than that. and that catapulted us into this,
Right.
seeing the fans jump on board the way they did, and the positive reviews that we're getting, the positive comments we're getting, and we're not that gory. Our stuff isn't that gory. It's not about the kills and the deaths as much as the story
story.
we tell, and just
Yeah.
we didn't know if that would resonate with true horror fans or not. So it's fun to see that so many are accepting it. It's not like Never Hike Alone or Roseblood or any of those that have these monumental gory kills in them. It's not that way. It wasn't from the beginning. Many reasons for it. One, I like stories, and I want to tell.
We had a limited budget.
Yeah,
It's a pain in the ass to do.
Yeah,
I'm going to ask you guys.
that's a big deal.
I know that we've had you guys on before, and we talked about the Horrorverse, but between the three of you, I want you to explain to the viewers what the Horrorverse is. Because
Okay.
it's easy to say Horrorverse, it's easy to say Michael versus Jason, it's easy to say these things, but I think there's a lot more depth to it,
Yes.
and I would like to hear you guys talk about it.
Okay, I'll start it off, and you guys can get my back. So when we did the shape, I started with family. I always wondered why Michael Myers wanted to go back home in the original OG John Carpenter movie. Why did he go back there? Just to find his sister, or what? I don't know. Maybe it was that, but he always ends up back in his house, like chilling. And I was thinking, maybe there's more to that character there, just because he had that instinct to go there again. So that's what the shape was about. Michael, obviously doesn't have many people that get his back. That's where that grandma character came in. He went back to her. He was loyal to her. So then I started thinking, after we got to the ending where we know Michael's going to Camp Crystal Lake, I pitched it to Chuck, and I was talking to him about it. What if there's like this family element that keeps continuing on in the Horrorverse with these three characters? So we started doing some research on the lore, basically. And
by the way, that's a really fun thing when you're talking to your best friend and you guys come up with an idea together and you chase it in one evening. I think we talked on the phone. We hung up like 17 times and then called each other back. It's like, wait, I found this.
Yeah. And matching up dates with the original characters and seeing how they all work through the timeline of the original films, it kind of coincides with what we're doing. So how they ended up coming back and doing the remake of Halloween, and they make Halloween in 2018, and it's pretty much the sequel to the first one. Halloween 2 never happened. We're kind of doing the same thing with our Michael. And then he just runs into Jason, who happens to be the same type of character, who seems to love his mom so much. And he loves his mommy. He loves his mom. So there was this family thing that I wanted to just keep kind of pushing through, and then add all our fun, creative characters that we could to make it more of an action drama, and just see if we could pull people in with all the nostalgia from the early 80s and all through the 90s, where you've got, badass guys going after this dude who's a predator and all sorts of other things. And we'll just see if it connects. But each character that we've written has a meaning for what they're doing, and there's a reason why they're doing it. And I think that's what kind of separates us. I never wanted to have characters that we could give two shits about that die. I wanted, if somebody dies in our movie, I hope it matters. We've done a few throwaway kills, but it's just for the fans. But other than that, when you start seeing people that matter and they keep repeating, they matter. And if they go, and I learned that from Walking Dead, watching that show, like you ended up loving some of these characters, and when they died, you're like, Jesus Christ, it killed you. They took the time.
A lot of the ways they died too were like infamous.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. I mean, how many people stopped watching Walking Dead when Glenn died?
Yeah.
But how many people knew that Glenn would die?
Anybody who read the comics.
Right.
Yeah. I didn't read the comics.
Well, you knew he was going to die.
I was shocked. I was shocked.
His eyes were going to get like
in shock when Glenn died.
Out of his head.
Yeah, and you know what? It's worse in the comic book. It's brutal in the comic book.
I mean,
my son said, if Dale dies, I'm going to stop watching this show. He still kept watching it. And Dale died in the second season?
Yeah. When Rick left the show, I was out. I haven't watched it since. I still haven't watched season 11 because of that.
Oh, sweet Jesus.
I haven't, because Rick Grimes is my guy. But that's how invested I was. I wanted the people to feel like that with the Horrorverse if they got into it. That was it. That was it. So
I'm sorry, Pat. We kept interrupting you, buddy. What were you saying?
Oh, I don't remember.
Well, I'll say this really quick. Well, even with our throwaway kills, okay, it's like so the opening of season or episode 9, we have a throwaway kill. But if you think about it, the conversation that's had in that tent before we kill the 2 individuals who are camping has gone through the mind or been said in most relationships on this planet.
yeah, it matters. Yeah, there's some substance there. These 2 people that you just catch in the right before they die, which is too bad because we don't know anything about them, right? And I think that's
except that they
Can
die
you
nicely.
call that a throwaway? Can you even call that a throwaway kill though? Because it was like an homage kill. I think. Like I don't
Correct.
even know if it was like a throwaway.
No,
It was. There was a point to that kill. So
there was a point.
yeah, and it was fantastically done.
You know what? There was no point to the kill
Those two guys
was
Great job.
Vampire 3, and
You know what? Wait, you know why
I'm just
Vampire
saying,
3
like,
died?
he was a
'Cause
pretty
he
good
ran.
vampire. There could have been like maybe
Had a
he
conversation.
survived,
You know,
maybe
hey
he
Peter,
survived
chill
a
out. I'm
little
not like
bit,
these other motherfuckers.
went on a fight or something
He
something.
just
I
waited
don't know.
too long to run. Was the problem with Vampire number 3? Because you could tell, like he's like, I am scared and I'm a coward and I'm okay with being.
Oh, wow.
But that was the base. That was the best homage to Blade
Oh,
for a
totally.
for a vampire.
If he just would have been like, "Fuck it, I'm out," before Tank showed up, he'd be fine.
You'd be
Probably
fine.
for
You'd
the
be chilling.
rest of the
Uh,
tournament.
I've got to be here to do my part. Oh wait, this guy's killing people, motherfucker.
Yeah, he's like,
But in a row-
CCC team, we had a question that came across. We have a new person who's never watched our show before, new to the Zombie podcast, and they actually wanted to know where they could find the show. So if
Go to
you-
CCC Entertainment Group on YouTube, and you can find everything that you need to see about the Horrorverse on CCC Entertainment Group on YouTube. Or go to cccentertainmentgroup.com, and you can find everything there.
Look at that
Hey,
guy.
man, you want the disclaimers? I will throw them all day long. And thank you for joining us today on Zompire Podcast. It's about fucking time you paid attention to what the fuck is going on around here.
also,
I think his name was Eric.
that's
Eric,
good.
thank you, buddy.
It was Eric.
That was fucking fantastic. I
Eric.
loved every
Right on.
second of that.
thank you, Eric. Please check
you,
this
Eric.
out.
Aaron gives me the thumbs downs for the disclaimers, but I'll throw them out fast.
Yeah, the radio voice he's got, he just can't help it.
Man, that was great.
Yeah. What were we talking about before Chuck did that? I can't remember.
We were working through the storyline and how we created everybody and connected. We've connected the icons in a historic, unknown way. And
Yeah.
if you have seen up to episode 9, you know that we have connected Jason and Michael to each other.
There we go. And
Well-
Pat made a good point, though. He was talking about it, not a throwaway kill. That's where I wanted to go.
Oh,
And he's right,
yes,
because we're
yes.
trying to pay homage to a lot of those scenarios that we've seen in those movies that inspired us to make movies in the first fucking place, right?
Yeah.
So if you go back to episode 5, there's the way Raymond Power is dressed. That's Keanu Reeves in Speed. You know what I mean? It's little things that we're always dropping those nuggets on of the movies that inspired us, and we
And,
wanted
and,
to.
pl-
I love that.
and playing with the remake of Invasion with the Body Snatchers where they point and
Yeah, all those
scream everything.
things, those
I
moments.
need to know how you're going to introduce Pinhead and Hellraiser.
What makes you think we're going to introduce anybody like that?
Why wouldn't you? It's Titans.
Well,
True.
we did show the
Who's
I
box.
was going to say the Le Marchand box when the Lament configuration.
We might have shown the box, but doesn't mean that this is. We hint to everything. Doesn't mean we're going to show all.
You never know.
Oh, well, I mean, if you go Titans, to me, a Titan of horror would easily be Pinhead.
I agree.
Well, sure.
Best one.
Michael
I absolutely
Myers,
agree.
Jason Voorhees, Leatherface, Freddy, and Pinhead.
But now, okay. So let me ask you this:
That's
What
my-
do you
that's
remember?
What's it called? The statue that has all the presidents on
The
it?
Mount Rushmore of horror.
Yeah, Mount Rushmore.
Well, but if you think, if you remember what Hammer said in that episode, he was like, "Tell me more about the Leviathan
Oh,
And the Cenobites.
I
and
do
the
remember that.
Cenobites."
Yeah.
Not naming anyone in particular because we know that some, Michelle. Apparently, we have some fans who have some opinions, so you better start coming up with some makeup ideas, my dear.
All right.
Oh shit!
We want to see some Cenobites.
There's an ending that we have for this series that I think would satisfy everybody.
Here.
All right.
I made this,
Perfect.
That's perfect.
It's badass.
and
Perfect.
it is signed by Doug Bradley.
Oh shit!
Hey.
Did
There
you
you
stab
go.
him in the eye too?
Yeah.
That's
No. I only have assaulted one celebrity at Crypticon so far.
I love
Go
Yeah.
ahead.
And it's the greatest American hero.
Dude,
That's right.
William Cat, I accidentally
William
whacked him in the
Cat?
eye. I backhanded him. I felt so bad.
He almost
Oh.
blinded him.
I know. And the photographer for the room got a photo of me going, and he's all,
Who
Do you
was
remember
it,
that?
Michelle? I'm sorry.
I remember that. I thought that was amazing.
oh my God, dude.
She almost blinded the
Only me.
greatest
I'm very
American
fucking
hero.
clumsy.
You almost blinded the greatest American hero.
I know. And I wanted to go up to his booth and go, believe it or not, I'm walking on air. Never thought I could feel so free.
I would
Come on.
hate you forever.
I bet he had he's had a million idiots doing that to him, I'm sure.
I'm
I
sure.
don't think people
Yeah.
generally slap him in the
Blinded
face.
I felt so bad. So I'm like,
Michelle,
I
I just want to say you can slap me anytime, my dear.
Oh, thank you.
Oh,
I'm gonna take you up on that.
I always go back to House with him too.
Well, maybe if you guys
Mhm.
actually show up for Crypticon,
Great movie.
Well,
Aaron,
can we get in this year, or are we full?
Steve,
Like the booths,
Yeah, talk to
yeah,
me.
they fill up like as soon as Crypticon is over one year. You gotta get on it
well, you
immediately.
got to be there to promote. You got to tell them like what the Horrorverse is about.
Well, you tell us the best way to do that this year, and we can do that. We can take this. We can do this live now, or we can take this off the air, and we can figure.
I think they said once it's over, it starts filling up again.
I know. So
Yeah.
pretty much.
Every
So we're
man.
good for 2025.
Yeah, I was
Every
going
man.
right
Yep, I'll put you in
now.
touch.
Please.
Absolutely.
Every man.
Yes, Michelle, reach out and touch us
Okay.
often.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, you forgot to put creepy on it. Yeah, Chuck forgot to put creepy on his name tag, so
I can add that.
you should.
Kevin doesn't
Corgis.
need to start signing autographs. So what are we doing? I know it was what, 3 full lengths?
Yes. Yeah. So we've got episode 9, like I said, just dropped. And what the ending of this series was going to always be 3 like feature length movies, whether hour and a half, somewhere in there. We were guesstimating, but we knew they were going to be longer. So we've got 3 of those. 1 we released now. We've got 2 that's going to start shooting. Hopefully
2 on deck.
Yes, episode 10 should be March, April-ish. Yeah, somewhere around in there. And then if we can get to the other one by the end of the year, that's what we're going to do. And that would be the final. And that one's going to be pretty big. Episode 10, I think everybody's going to have a blast with. It's a
fun.
shoot that I know we all can do, but it's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. There's a lot of big names in it and a lot of people, and the storyline itself will just push everything towards that final step like we wanted. So it's really
I
good.
was just looking at my calendar just to make sure I'm all booked up.
Oh, thanks. Thanks, Brad.
Yeah, of course.
What are the chances? So I know, like right now, you're like the Horrorverse is gonna end after the 3 feature-length films. Like, is there any thought that you guys have thought about, like, continuing it after that? Like, I know you have your like 1 through 11 storyline kind of wrapped, like in your mind. This is where we want to go with it. But what's the thoughts of like after episode 11?
I'll start this one, Chuck, if you don't mind. The Horrorverse was going to be an umbrella for anything that we wanted to do after. We wanted to kick it off with characters that everybody recognized. So, the fan films is why we were doing that with Jason, Michaels, and Freddy. We wanted to pull an audience towards a Horrorverse, kind of like Creepshow did. And then once we got this series done, anything and everything we can do on our own. If we want to make up our own killers, if we want to make up our own monsters, we can. And now we've got this universe that we can revert back to anytime we want and tell a story, and it can revert back to those things, but it's all original content after that. So, and we have a lot of ideas we've always had for horror stuff, but we wanted to try to build an audience to understand it first. Yes. So that was kind of the premise. when we started talking
that's
about this,
awesome.
I don't know, a year and a half ago or so. So
Yeah.
So are you going to have Voorhees in future episodes? And can we expect to see Jason Brooks behind the mask?
well, I can tell you that you will more than likely see Jason Brooks in the Horrorverse this season. What character he portrays is a surprise.
Okay.
Yes.
Fair.
Yes.
He does a
And
great Voorhees. That's why I was asking. I know
absolutely.
you guys have, the Titans. Speaking of which, and I know we talked about this before, but is Leatherface a Titan? Or is
He
it
would
because
be.
he's, like, based in reality that he's not a Titan?
In the Horrorverse that I created, I looked at the characters that are undead. The
Okay.
ones that for some reason don't seem to die. They would be Titans to me in the
So-
Horrorverse. So
Would Chucky be a Titan?
Yes.
kind of he
You-
would.
You know, you can
We
kick
need
Chucky.
to.
Yes.
You can kick Chucky.
You can kick him.
See,
Kick him.
Please don't kick Chucky.
Chucky will fuck everybody up. Chucky needs to be in the Horrorverse. That's my
Do you
contribution.
see-
He needs to be there.
do you
I don't
see-
see
I don't
Steve
have
actively
Chucky, but I've got
nodding
this
about.
guy. This guy can
I
be in the
don't-
Horrorverse.
Oh, fuck that. That's Poltergeist clown.
Yes, it is.
I don't see Steve actively nodding when it comes to including Chucky in the Horrorverse, and since he's our animator, then I'm going to say,
know.
sorry,
I
Chucky,
know.
you didn't make the cut.
I would love it.
Boo!
It's one of my favorites. But I know, like, I actually thought of that at one point. No shit. I don't know if I ever told Aaron or Chuck about this. I was almost going to dress up my son in the onesie because he's like just about that right size and just have him run
Right.
by in the background or something. Just
That would have been so good.
But it would have been, it would have just been
Super cute.
I would still
What-
fucking that too, though.
What happened to Vlad?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh. I hope he's okay.
More internet.
He'll be back.
The internet
So-
issues are plaguing us tonight.
I'm guessing that Michelle is the host, considering the fact that everybody else keeps disappearing and coming back.
I mean, welcome to the
host with the
show.
most.
I'm only the one with the most pink hair. That's the only thing I have the most of.
There you go. But I mean, if you follow the Horrorverse, going off what Aaron was saying earlier, if you follow the Horrorverse and you look at every single little thing that we have in, there are hints to characters from the past. There are hints to things that we could do in the future. Somebody made a comment about episode 9 about the fact that we had Elias dress up as Jason. Elias wasn't dressed as Jason. He was his own character, and he was his own killer.
Yeah.
And
the
that's
mask.
one of those things that you need to pay attention to, because that's a different mask that might be up here behind me somewhere.
Dun dun
Um,
dun.
So all these kinds of things are things that we could possibly use if we choose to pick a story later to sell.
Correct.
And by sell, I mean we make it, we sell it, we profit.
I think it'd be fair. Would it be fair to say, guys, that if it were to get a huge amount of love to where it really became like we kind of have to, I think it would be more of an immediate for sure that we would probably do something after it.
Aaron, what is our saying?
Whatever people want. I don't know. What's our
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Anything
We get
is possible.
we get 1 million views on the last 3. I mean, I think it'd be more of a conversation.
No, absolutely. Because if we all remember here, and I'll speak to this too. It's just like we were planning on doing some Major Kruger episodes after the fact, but we found a way to possibly wrap it all up in 11 episodes so that we could do other things. But if the audience does come back and wants more, that's a possibility. We have a storyline. I know where I'm going.
More.
Yeah, I know where I'm going. I know where I'd like to go.
We created our own universe. We can go anywhere.
Pretty much.
It depends on the fans. It depends on what they want. We'll give them season 1, 11 episodes. See what happens.
This fan wants Chucky.
We have fans that want Chucky. We have fans that want Pinhead. We have fans that want us to include Leatherface. There's fans who want us to include all kinds of things.
I really
Even
wanted
some random
Joker.
stuff. They want us to bring in the Conjuring universe into what we're doing too. And it's just like, okay, I know we're creating our own universe, but remember, we're a micro budget universe.
Yeah.
It's expensive
How cool
to make
would it
someone look like Pinhead.
Yeah, but how cool would it be to be like Pumpkinhead in there? You know what I'm saying? Like shit that we
yeah.
all know, the unnameable. You know what I mean? Like there's so many 80s movies that were so good. Jesus
Shocker.
Christ, we could bring Shocker. Oh my
love
God.
it.
Right?
Silent Night, Deadly Night,
Come on. It's so
Killer
good.
Santa Claus.
There's all kinds of shit we could do.
That's
that
a
could be
cool thing.
fun.
That's the coolest thing about what you guys have created. Horrorverse means like you can literally take any like murderer or killer or whatever from any horror movie and inject them into the storyline.
One way or
And
another.
that has, one way or another, yeah. That has to be like one of the coolest ideas in the horror genre. It's easy to make a movie about like Christmas horror, or about camping horror. Like that shit's typical. It's not typical to have a storyline where it's a realm where all these people exist in one fucking
Universe.
universe.
The
Yeah.
Horrorverse.
That's not common.
I mean, like,
No one else has done that.
No, they haven't.
aside from the writers in the room, one of the things we did that we like to share is people who don't see the Easter egg is you hear this thing about Dr. Sears. He was in the end of episode 8, which Pat has watched 117 times. Dr. Sears, if you look at the name of Dr. Sears, he is the character from Sixth Sense. He is the boy who sees dead people.
Yeah.
So like I said, no matter what, if you go back and you rewatch everything, you see, you hear, you feel, the realms are which we can go into are endless. But we still have a limitation as to what we can do because, well, let's just say money talks.
Chuck, while we got you here,
Big smile.
You play a pretty big role in the Horrorverse. Tell us about filming your character and all that.
Well, for which character? I played 2.
I was thinking of the military one. Hold on.
For Hammer, Hammer, each individual episode has led into creating the team that's going to hunt for these Titans. Hammer's character is you get to see him in the very first episode. He gets broken by what he has to do. So after that, if you pay attention to Hammer's character as he builds throughout the rest of the episodes, he becomes cold and methodical. And at the end of the first episode, he says that, if you want me to continue this, the team he led in to go get the book in the first episode wasn't the team he needed. It was the team that he was provided. And he says at the end of the episode, if you want me to do this, I need a team that's basically not afraid of anything, who's seen everything. Right. So he starts going after everyone to see what he can create for a Titan hunting team. And he gets
Nick Fury.
Yeah, I'm the Nick Fury of this Horrorverse, if you want to consider him that way. I'm the leader of a team who will do anything it takes to make sure that this team comes together and that we hunt what needs to be hunted.
I don't know if you're gonna want to answer this or be able to answer this, but
I'll wait for Aaron to nod.
Through the first 8 episodes, we see, like you were saying, Chuck Hammer goes out and recruits all these people, and like in each episode, you get like kind of like a highlight of who these characters are going to be. You get to see like what their personality is. You get a feel of like how they're going to interact in the universe, but we don't really see. I mean, we do see a couple of them interact with each other, like. Bullseye and Razor. And Razor interact. Yeah. But like, is there going to be some like epic climax where like all of them are like together and they're just like whooping somebody's ass?
They're
and
like
seeing.
Have you guys all had the opportunity?
Type shit.
Have you all had the opportunity,
or what?
Have you guys had the opportunity to watch episode 9 yet?
Yes.
Okay, so at the very end of episode 9, Hammer is standing before Katz, and he opens the door and he says, "Let me introduce you to the EOC. This is the team he created." And what was the team he created? All the episodes leading up to episode 9.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's hunting.
Great backstories.
Yeah.
So at the end of 9, you don't get to see them all together. You get that like for like perception. That
Now
they're
you
out-
can't
they're
wait to
obviously
see
out there.
10.
But like in episode 10, like yeah, that's what I'm like. I'm waiting to see them all on the screen at the same time.
That's
Like
the-
all of them, Chuck Norris and people, and they got their shields out and they're fucking
Uh,
just
Love Pat.
whooping
I love
some
Patio,
ass.
patio furniture. Just let me tell you this: episode 10 is titled simply "The Hunt."
Ooh, I like it.
Yeah, and it's based off of Predator. So we are hunting
Oh
down
shit!
Jason Voorhees. So
Oh
if you've
my
seen the movie
God.
Predator, you're gonna love The Hunt. If you love
Ooh.
Predator,
I'm gonna love
Yeah.
the hunt.
Throw a little sci-fi in with that horror.
goddamn right. They're
Hell
tight.
yes.
We wanted to
I'm
build
super
those side
excited.
we wanted to build those side characters for those guys to give the audience a little more credibility behind who they were instead of just throwing them in there and just
Right.
hey, these are the badasses. Here they go. But you will see the entire unit of the EOC together going after Jason Voorhees in The Hunt. You sure will.
The
Super
nice thing in
excited.
doing these episodes, like we talked about, we have these 10 to 15 minute episodes that we were able to create along with everything that we were doing, building up to our first feature length episode. And the nice thing is you have an origin story for each character as you go in. So you're going to have something that you're going to feel for each character. I mean, we have Bullseye, who is the guy who doesn't give a shit about anything except for whatever's right in front of him. We
We
have,
have Vampire 3.
we have
And
Razor, who won't
Got
stop.
shot in the fucking head.
We
You okay?
we have
I'm
Bullet.
so hurt about it.
Bullet is a hitman who nobody can afford, and yet somehow, some way, by the end of his episode, he's like his way of saying "I'm in." He turns in the book.
Fine. Yeah.
So no matter what, and even and obviously, I don't know if you guys can figure this out, but obviously, Peter's character, Mr. Anthony, if you're still out there paying
He's
attention,
so
listening,
good.
and typing in,
Tank.
he's down
So
for
good.
whatever he has to do. Because for whatever
Yeah.
reason, he digs everything that Hammer says. He was like, "Yeah, it's about fucking time.
There's
You
a
know, let's
loyalty
go-
to him.
Let's go to work."
Yeah, there's a genuine loyalty for Hammer. He appreciates that guy. And he will go to the end of the world with him.
Yeah.
Tank,
That's his war
do whatever
father.
Did a good
Hammer
job.
wants. Yeah, but, Razor has his own thing where Razor's a old school kind of taught from his father military guy. So he pulled away from teams at one time, but a team let his father down and his father died. So now does he take this shot? Does he go with another team and give it a chance to see if he can have that camaraderie? It matters to him. Bullseye's chasing after the guy who killed his wife. So
Yeah.
each one of these characters have their own reasons for being there. And
The-
and
The
when
guy
episode
who killed his wife.
yes, and
They
when
really have
episode
all these,
10 when
offshoot
episode 10 hits, those answers
storylines.
will be there. And that's what's cool about it. It's fun to
Yeah.
see the 360.
all
for
these
each-
characters have these offshoot storylines.
correct. That's it. That
But
was
now,
it.
instead of getting like some of our other fan films that we've seen in the past, where you have this military group who thinks they can go after whatever Jason, Michael, whatever these things are, now you actually have a true storyline behind what each one of these are going through. So when you see them interact with these titans, you'll have more heart behind what's going on. You'll have more feeling for the character. You'll be more invested in what's going on with everybody. Now you have the characters of the sheriff. You have Timmy. You have Doris. I want to call you out, Michelle, because you did an amazing job as Doris. You still are doing an amazing job.
Thank you.
So Doris is amazing. I mean, Michelle's amazing. She's in front of the camera. She's behind the camera. She's doing makeup. She's helping us out all the time. So that's an amazing person.
Most
guys are-
valuable.
But you have
Friends,
all
you guys
this
are my
love.
friends. I love you.
You have all this love for all these people of what's going on around you. And because we were able to do this episodically before we get to the main ones, and like Aaron said, we were talking about doing 3 just for Freddy. But we're condensing everything down into these last 3 movies so we can do as much as we can. And like Steve says, if there's a huge love for what we're doing,
we got plenty of ideas.
anything is possible, and the Horrorverse is just that.
Yes, and
It's
there
a
was
universe of horror.
and then there was one character that we
Universe
introduced.
before.
It's a huge character in episode 9 that you're just introduced to that we never did a short for, and that was the main character, which is played by Grace Madland. Michelle is
Oh
a
my
huge
God.
character. Her name is Michelle. She's huge in the series from here on out. She's the protagonist.
Amazing.
She's the one you're going to be rooting for, and she's fantastic in it. I didn't want to do a short with her because I wanted her to be a surprise. I wanted her to be the person that you're like, who is this woman? How did she take on Jason Voorhees with a fucking staff? That's fucking cool, right?
Yeah,
It's like,
she didn't
Jesus
take no
Christ,
shit.
No, she didn't take no shit, and she had the balls of a fucking bull. She wasn't playing. And I wanted everybody to be introduced to someone new and fresh to root for before we showed these other characters, and she pulled it off. And you're going to end up finding out how she intertwines with everything that we've done in the past. So that's what's kind of fun.
I got a real, like, I'm probably like way far off on this, but the impression and the feeling I got from that character was kind of like a Demon Knight character, right? Like just this person who's like, and I don't we don't really know a lot about her, but to me it was like, oh, she's this badass woman who's gonna go out there and she's gonna like hunt these demons like they did in Demon Knight. Like that's where I felt like when I was watching that character.
That's fucking great. I love that more than anything, Pat. That's a great fucking way to put it. You know, I didn't even think of that when we wrote her.
No,
but
right.
You know, but what's fun is that's what's kind of cool, because when you start involving yourself in this deeply, you start seeing all the influences that come back to you, and people will mention something like you just did and be like, holy shit, did we write that? And we didn't. But that's what's cool, because we're still in that mindset, we're still in that frame, we're still in that world that was created back when those movies were coming out, where we all just ingested them so much. And I think that's what's so fun about it. You know, there's a direct correlation between where Grace Madeline's character's at, Michelle, and Stone. You know, she's not a normal person. There's not this normal thing going on with her that we think. And that's what makes it more fun for the long run. You know, everybody's like, how's this little girl going to beat up Michael Myers? Well, you don't know enough about this woman yet. You know, when you get to episode 3 when she's fighting, she's this tiny little thing. But when she pulls out their shield, everybody's like, well, what is she, Dr. Strange? Well, I don't know. You just got to keep watching. That's what's fun. You know, that's that mentality I wanted people to have these surprises with these characters and what they're able to do. And that's what always made me excited to watch those movies back in the day. Is like, I watched Snake Plissken. How'd that guy do all that? Well, he's just a fucking badass. That's why. They like that. You know?
Because he's a hero with a capital H. Like, there's that next level. Yeah.
It's just fun. And I think keeping the audience intertwined with the characters that way, to never know what they're expecting and why they're able to do what they do. They may not buy it right away, but if they stay with us and they watch it all, they might buy it at the end. And then
to really build in a certain sense of vulnerability, no matter how badass they are. Like that's kind of a trick onto its own, where you can be like, okay, you can every 5-year-old has built an awesome super mega comic book character, but you wouldn't want to follow that person for 3 hours of a film. And trying to build those characters, and Aaron did a really good job of this back when he kind of busted out the first, or I should say Chuck and Aaron and Sam, where they really built it, where the dynamics were there and they weren't just paper cutouts, because you've seen that before, and I think it's really fun that once I was able to come in for, you could kind of be like, well, if you put these two together, it might be a little fun. And it's like playing when you're a kid with little toys.
Yeah, with the guys, with the toys. Yeah, your action figures. Right? Yeah. So when he writes in Stone to show up in episode 8 with Bullet, it's amazing, because it shows a vulnerability that Stone I didn't see. Why did she go help with it? Why? It mattered to her, and that's cool as fuck. And that makes those characters deeper, richer, and you root for them more. And I think that's,
and these guys did that with all of them. I mean, they all have something to them that really does make them more than simply Sylvester Stallone or whatever in 1987. It is built to be more than that. They're meant to be able to play in a larger pool, and having the Titans is really fun too, because they're such heavy duty swingers. It's like the Predator. Like, anybody else would get taken out by Arnold Schwarzenegger, but then there's the fucking Predator.
Right. Yeah. So and their storylines go just as deep if you start thinking about it. I mean, I understand the logic and the lore for Voorhees and his mother getting killed on that beach that night when she was trying to revenge his death. I get it, right? But he came back, and he still hears his mama in all the movies. So you're like, there's more there to explore, and that's what we're trying.
And Vlad was actually talking to Chuck about the characters that he plays. I think Chuck doesn't get enough credit for Voorhees. His version of Voorhees is and excuse me, y'all, but I'm not as big of a Friday the 13th fan as I should be. But like when I watched the first couple over again, like I really saw where he was able to take that and go, okay, no, we're going to take this to once again the vulnerable Jason, with the Sackhead, where he hadn't become a cartoon version of it, and when you watch him on set or you watch him on film, but I get the pleasure of watching him on set. He just is able to bring a lot of vulnerability that you can see sheerly through a physical performance. It's really fucking cool.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I think at the end of it, like, I mean, I love Hammer, but I'm like, I will remember his version of Voorhees.
Jason. Yeah.
And it's just really fucking good. Yeah.
I couldn't agree more, because when Chuck and I started talking about how he's going to portray this Jason, we started low. We were like, our Jason will evolve. He will evolve the Jason that we know. But we got to start it where this is at, because everybody out there who loves these fan films and always wants to see Michael versus Freddy, or excuse me, Michael versus Jason, we're always thinking Jason's just going to kick the shit out of him. And I'm thinking, well, what if you meant when Jason's like part 2?
Yeah.
A
vulnerable Jason,
more human type of entity, and then we tried to portray it just a little bit differently, where you kind of see, like, I think it was Peter Anthony that said to us, he's like, yeah, I loved how Chuck played Jason, because it reminded me of Leatherface a little bit. He was more deranged. He's like, what's going on? My mom, I'm hearing my mom, I can't find my mom. That fucks him up. And then you've got Krueger in his head, like, what the fuck is going on? And then Michael Myers comes in and beats the shit out of him. It's great. It's great. It's so much.
And it's what no